talking about, I was just thinking, so there is one aspect which is the quantity of data that it needs to be trained in the first place.
Mhm.
And many
Mhm.
places where you know that the data is very less, you can't even think of having such models because they will not be effective. But when you have enough quantity of data, so for example, I was thinking of it in the with respect to having machine learning that we use to break captcha. So suppose today we use
Mhm.
uh, as an attacker, as a hacker, basically, if I use machine learning and I'm breaking a captcha which is text based, tomorrow the entire data set may change to an image based one, and
Right.
after that you may have some other advancement that has come in. So when the data set, the data type itself changes, that is that also a challenge?
Yes, yes, definitely. So when I say data, so continuous learning is always a problem, and you have to do it. It's basically how far you want to extend your model to solve the problem, right? For example, this capture thing you talk about, I myself have done this, right?
Oh,
So
great.
when initially when I've done it, we did it like very basic model. And if you talk about first version of capture, like you talk about old days, like there is very basic
Hmm.
captures was there. So there was, I remember there was a talk long back I attended somewhere, which is somebody has used OCR to actually parse the text, characters into the capture, and they have kind of done it. They didn't require like another model or something like that. But in my experience, what I've done is first set of data is very simple. So I can train with entire capture stream my model, and it was working. But then there came the second type of capture, category of capture, where the text characters were tilted, like something like this.
Hmm.
W was like this,
Hmm.
I was like this,
Yes,
like that.
yes.
So it was tilted. So the moment it was tilted, the same W was appearing somewhere straight, somewhere like this, somewhere like that. And because of that, my data set was not sufficient now. And when I say data set is not sufficient, it's not about the data product, it's how I interpret the data. So it was the same data
Yeah.
set I used, but instead
Hmm.
of now adding the entire capture string as the training data, I have to break it down in small characters. And I have to create all possible combination of W and say, you know what, W will look like this in your real capture. So
Oh,
as a result, I have to
okay.
create a separate model which knows how to detect a W when W is this, like that.
So your
So I have to
permutations will increase then.
exactly. So, and then my model
Okay.
also changed. And then I have to move to CNN, a convolution neural network. Earlier, it was a normal neural net kind of thing. So, because why? Because CNN, by definition, is a model which actually solves, do a faster way of recognizing, disposition based, let's say, model. So, a very, in YouTube, there's a good video on that is how a CNN can detect a koala when koala is upside down or downside up. It's the same model
Acha.
will work
Oh, nice.
because it does using certain patterns. So by definition, there is a certain model is built for this kind of problem statement. So now because of that, I have to shift to a new algorithm. So that is what the skill set and understanding. So had I not
Hmm.
know about what is how does it work, I wouldn't have thought about that. Uh, think about breaking my head on data. So coming back to my three problem is the data problem. Data has a collection and interpretation. Second is
Hmm.
a knowledge problem. And third, once I do it, now I have to train it. Now, when I try to train it with my, let's say, local MacBook, it fried. It couldn't work. Then I have to actually create a new infrastructure, with some higher processors and all this thing. And then it took a while to train it. So that is how it. And then the last level, which I could not work, just strike through. So there was in strike through ways. And nowadays, forget nowadays, so recapture and all this game. So
Hmm.
it is always changing, right? So as a result, then if I am talking from a adversary layer point of view, I have to also upgrade myself. Otherwise, I'll always be obsolete.
Yeah, yeah. That I think that just keeps going on with all the advancements that we see. Interesting. So